my number 15 on 231. Okay? And that, you know, is difficult as that might look, that's as easy as it is. Just got to add up to 180. Now, the things that you have to measure and work with mostly in geometry is finding three things. You have to find the perimeter of objects or spaces. You have to find the area, and you have to find the volume. Those are the three things that you're going to be looking for in geometry: the perimeter, the area, and the volume. What does perimeter mean? Okay. Perimeter is the distance around the space. It's just the outside edges. It's the distance around. If I want to know the perimeter of this square, I need to know how long it is here, 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 and there. By definition, what is a square? A four-sided object that what? All sides are the same. So when you have a square, a lot of times they're only going to give you one side measurement. Because if they tell you it's a square, they know that you know that all the sides are the same. So they're not going to put a number on every side. They just tell you it's a square. Okay? A rectangle is also a four-sided figure where opposite sides are equal and parallel. Same as a square. All squares are rectangles, but all rectangles are not squares. Because a square, the difference is that they have to all be the same. A square is a four-sided figure where opposite sides are equal and parallel. These sides run the same. These sides run the same. Same as a rectangle. These sides run the same. These sides run the same. The difference is that in a square, all sides are the same. In a rectangle, these sides are the same. Okay? But not all sides. Opposite sides are equal and parallel, but in a rectangle, they could be different sides. Different sizes. In a square, they're all the same. Okay? So if they tell you it's a rectangle, they may only give you two sides. Because by definition, you know that if it's a rectangle, if this is 4, that's 4. If that's 2, that's 2. It doesn't mean that because they only give you two numbers, you only need to work with two numbers. People will see these two numbers and multiply them when they say it's a perimeter. Perimeter means all sides, the distance around the whole thing. If I have to go 4 this way and 2 this way, I still got to go 4 this way and 2 this way. So you got to have not 2 times 4 is 8. It's 4 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2. All sides. For a triangle, it's a 3-sided figure, and the sides can all be different. You can have an equilateral triangle, and they can all be the same. There can be all kinds of things for a triangle. It's still, though, the distance around it. Okay? And before I forget, at 6:30, remember that the math tutor is coming today for those who want to, if anybody wants to stay. And then for a circle, we don't have any sides. We still need to know the distance around a circle sometimes. When we look for the distance around a circle, instead of calling it a perimeter, they call it a circumference. Circum means around, to go around, so they just change it to circumference. It still is the perimeter or the outside edge of that circle. Okay? Circles have two other things you have to know about. Anything that starts at the center of a circle Any line that starts at the center and touches one side of a circle is called a, anyone know? Radius. You need to know that. You can have it there, any of these things can be a radius. As long as it starts at the center and touches the side, it is a radius. If it goes, a line that goes through the center of the circle and touches two sides is called a what? Diameter. You're going to have to find a way to remember which is which. Now for me, di means two. A diameter cuts it into two equal pieces. You can remember it that way. Diameter goes clear across. A radius is kind of like a ray, just a part of a line. It starts in the center and hits only one side. You got to know, because when we're finding the perimeter of a circle, the distance around a circle, we're going to use the diameter measurement. When we are finding the area, we're going to use a radius. And they will try to trick you. They will give you a radius when you need a diameter. They'll give you a diameter when you need a radius for the formula. But you're not tricked if you know which one you need and know what they are. Because if they give me a radius and I need a diameter, what do I need to do with that radius? Double it, right? Because the diameter is just 2 radii, 2 of them. So if they tell me the radius is 3 and I need a diameter, I know that the diameter is 6. If they give me a diameter of 6, but I know I need a radius, I know that I'm going to do what? Divide it in half. So that's why you have to know the difference in them and know which to use when, okay? So they give you a formulas page, and they give you the formula for all of these things, a perimeter, an area, and a volume. But you need to understand what it means, because a question is not going to always say what is the perimeter of that thing, whatever it is. They'll say a man is wanting to build a fence around his yard. So that lets me know he's building a fence around the yard. That's on the edges. That lets me know I'm doing a perimeter. You see what I'm saying? He wants to put a lace trim around the hem of the skirt. That's a perimeter, just along the edge. You see what I'm saying? Something's got to tell you whether you're looking for a perimeter or an area, because the formula is different. You find it differently. Your answers will be different. So you have to understand that the perimeter surrounds a space. When you're trying to surround a space, just the edges of something, you're looking for a perimeter. And then you don't need a formula. Because if I know that I want to put trim around this, and it's 5 inches this way, and 5 inches this way, and 5 inches this way, and 5 inches this way, I'm going to need 5 4 times, right? Or I'm going to need 20 inches to do it. I didn't have to tell you that the perimeter of a square is 4 times the side. Makes sense. You got 4 sides, they're all the same. I can say 4 times 5 and get 20. Or I could add up 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 and I'd still get 20. 4 5s. For a rectangle, the formula is 2 lengths plus 2 widths. Well, it makes sense because I have to add a 2, a 4, a 2, and a 4 to get all around it. You see what I mean? You don't need a formula. You know what you got to do. If I need to cover this, this, that, and that, I'm going to need that much. If this is 2 feet long, I'm going to need 2 feet, 4 feet, 2 feet, 4 feet. But a lot of times they'll give you just those 2 numbers. You have to know that if it's a perimeter, you got to go all the way around it. Add them all up. For a triangle, it's just side plus side plus side because they could all be different. Still means just add them all up. So you didn't need formulas for these 3 things. It's all just add them all up. Add them all up, you get the perimeter. For a circle, because there are no sides to add, they figured out how you can figure out, the distance around a circle. It's based on how wide that circle is. the diameter. Okay? So they figured out if you want to find the distance around that circle, the circumference of that circle, pi, which is a constant, the value of pi is 3.14 as a decimal, 22/7 as a fraction. Sometimes they tell you to use the fraction, sometimes they tell you to use the decimal. Use whichever one they tell you. But if I multiply that times the diameter, I will get the distance around that circle. They have to give you the diameter, or they'll give you the radius, you see. They'll say, what's the circumference of this circle, and the radius is 4. Well, I know I need a diameter, so first of all, I'm going to have to make that into a diameter and say if the radius is 4, the diameter is 80. And then if I multiply 8 times 3.14, I'll get the circumference of that circle. Okay? So that's perimeter for all 4 shapes that you're going to have to work with. Area covers a space. When you want to cover a space, you're looking for the area. If I want to lay carpet, if I want to paint a wall, if I want to plant grass, anytime you want to cover that space, not just go around the edges, you see. I don't want to just put carpet along the edges of this wall. I want carpet all over the floor. That's area. You're looking for area. Okay? Area